Good evening, Jakl Den. Good evening, fans. Welcome to another edition of the podcast. This week, we are brought to you. This week, we bring a special guest to you, Mr. Kyle Is it Breytenbach?
Yep, perfect.
I want to make sure I say that right. Okay, excellent.
Right.
We're going to talk to Kyle in a couple of minutes about his experience and what he does with the Jackals and on and off and the pitch and where he comes from and all of that. First, a couple of updates for you guys. The last 2 weeks for the Jackals are going to be away matches. So unfortunately, we don't get to finish the season off here at home, but we had an excellently well played game that we may or may not get into at this last game, but it was still great to be out there for the last home game. And so coming up this next one this weekend, the first away match is going to be at Utah. We're playing the Warriors. Should be a relatively easy win for us. But that game is going to happen 9 p.m. Dallas time. We are having a watch party. It's going to be at the Londoner in Addison. We've been there before. You all know where it is. They've given us the room downstairs to watch that in. We will still have scarves for sale there, $15. Let myself or Rick or anybody else know if you're interested. We can get you walking away with some of those. And then some exciting info coming up. The week following that, the final match of the season is going to be down at Houston. We will be having the rugby day down there that you've seen Jakl Den and Saber Bros post about. We're having a couple of DFW AAA or D1 teams go down to play some of the Houston D1 teams during the day leading up to that final match. Jakl Den's going to be down there with some a light lunch, some hot dogs or whatnot. And then Saber Bros putting on their pregame tailgate, which is always a good meal before that final match. And then we're also working with a travel agency to get travel package put together for the first match of the semifinals. And I feel like I just spoiled something I let the cat out of the bag too early there. If you've missed it, we clinched our spot in the semifinals. We are playing the first
playoff rugby in Dallas. Well,
yes, against at least in Texas. We'll play Houston that first week. As of right now, we'll play Houston that first week down in Houston, July 20th. We're putting together a package that's going to have coach bus transportation down to Houston, tickets to the game, lodging down there, and then a bus back. So stay tuned for some details on that, some pricing and how that's going to work. And it'll be great to get a ton of us onto a bus to party on the way down there and party on the way back after we watch the Jackals secure their spot in week 2 of the playoffs. But all good things to look forward to. So now with that, I jumped into this stuff way too early. I get too excited about this. By the way, I'm James, president of the Jakl Den, joined here by Rick Collins, the inside man who always asks the toughest questions. And then we're also joined by a local superstar, Mr. Kyle Breytenbach. Now, I did a little bit of history, a little bit of digging on here. Let me see if I got all of this right. I'm probably going to pronounce this first part very wrong, and please correct me. The town where you are from in South Africa.
Good luck.
Say that. Please say it for me. Uh-oh.
Oh, we're losing Kyle, I think.
Kyle, can you hear us?
I lost you guys there for a second.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, can you hear now?
Pronounce the name of the town that you're from.
So I grew up in Palabora, South Africa.
Palabora.
Yeah. See, I would have gotten that wrong. Thank you very much. Right. And I apologize. I appreciate you jumping in with that. Joined the MLR 2018. I've played with 3 teams so far. Interestingly enough, all in Texas. So started with the Austin Gilgronis, then played for a couple seasons with Houston Sabercats, and now up with Dallas. And I did find a little bit about the history here that you had started playing rugby around 2014 when you were in school. And there's an interesting bit there I want to ask about. You played for Tigerberg in the Western Province President's Cup Super League.
So awful.
Yeah, give us a little bit of a story there of how did you move so quickly? How did you get into rugby and get up to a President's Cup back around that time?
I think we've got a bad connection with Kyle.
Kyle, are you hearing us? Are we losing you?
Yeah.
We may have to do this.
I think we're gonna have to disconnect and
yeah, he just dropped. I'll shoot him a message. I'll let him know to check his stuff and come back in.
Let me give a quick background.
Yeah.
You missed the piece when he was in Austin before he joined what became the Gilgronis, but started off as the Elite and then the Herd. Before that, he was with Texas D1 Austin Huns rugby when he first arrived in Texas, 2017, I believe. And I was actually down there with the Quins watching that Huns team of really, I mean, semi, if not professional players out there playing against a D1 Texas side. It was pretty crazy to see what Austin was putting together at that time. Kyle, you want to talk real quick about, how you got started in South Africa and then how you got over to Austin?
Yeah, perfect. So rugby in South Africa is like football in Texas, I feel like. So I started playing rugby when I was 5. I watched my dad play rugby, and that was just kind of part of life. Then went on to play a bit in college and went in Cape Town and played there. So originally was only going to come over for 6 months, play with the Huns in Austin. And then, one thing led to another. The MLR started, and Rick just mentioned the 2017 season. So that was kind of like a prequel to MLR.
Yeah.
And then met my beautiful wife in Austin.
Excellent.
And, we got married, and one thing led to another, like I said, and kind of got a contract for the MLR and kept playing rugby.
So
fantastic.
You stuck it out in Texas this entire time in MLR. Got at least some roster time in Houston. How did you end up with the Jackals? Because last thing I had heard was you were retired, and then I saw you out at warm-ups before a match about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and wondered how the heck did you end up here?
Yeah, so after Austin, so obviously played there for quite a while, and then Houston, like you mentioned, in 2020 season, then back in Austin. So when Austin kind of collapsed, I decided to retire, quote unquote, and just pursue like a career. So I've been doing that for the past 2 years. But then me and my family, we moved up. So my wife and my 2.5-year-old daughter, we moved up to Dallas because she's originally from here, so closer to family. Then Austin Backer, the team manager, he was a team manager in Austin, and we always kind of kept in contact. When we had a couple of injuries with the Jackals, he rang up and asked if I would like to play rugby again. And I mean, why not?
Well, it probably looked a little bit better when you signed on for the Jackals this year than Dallas has been the last couple of years. So it's probably encouraging to come back. Were you excited to come and play with Gola? Was it that at all kind of an interest to see what this kid was all about? Because he's kind of made a fairly big name for himself in the last year.
Quite a debut, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in the season that I didn't play, I watched a bit of rugby and kind of kept up with the US squad, and to see him how he performed straight out of the gates, and then obviously get his call up to the US squad, that's amazing. And I mean, you can even just see it when I came in. He was injured, but he still had that leader mentality, and he was at every training, little scooter or like doing work on the side. So it's great to see a younger guy like that actually blossom and then show his leadership straight off the bat.
And kind of add on to that, this group of locks, I mean, it's kind of a really interesting group of guys, all from really different backgrounds, different places, different ways they've come up through rugby. What's it like just working with this group of locks?
That's good. Like you say, learning everyone's background and kind of what I've always thought of is like taking the good parts of other people's what they do correctly and what you think or what they do really well, kind of build on that. So playing with people from other cultures and other like backgrounds is awesome. I love working with other people.
It's excellent. So I want to ask something real quick here about some of the history. So down in South Africa, we everybody knows about the Springboks down there. So and that's the major rugby team that's coming out of South Africa. So is there a desire now that you're back into the sport to look for any sort of off season or any sort of transition to go back over and try to get on any of the Springboks teams or get any pitch time with them?
So I'm US qualified. So in 2021, I played US Falcons, and that counts as a cap. So fortunately, I can't go back and play South Africa.
Okay.
But I do feel that like the US is now my home. I've been here for 9 years. So if I ever wanted the opportunity or got the opportunity to play for an international team, it would be for the Eagles.
That's excellent.
Any interest in going back and just like playing for one of the Curry Cup sides or something like that during off season?
Yeah, I mean, playing at that level, that's always something to look up to. Playing in the URCs or something like that. Like I said, kind of living in Texas and making this my home, I feel that taking time away from family and moving back down there is just not something that I would really be too interested in now. I kind of enjoy where I'm at and playing MLR and kind of just building on that.
Well, hopefully, and you mentioned your son's only 2.5, but hopefully in a couple of years when he gets we can get him to hold a rugby ball, that you can carry that tradition along. That'd be fantastic. Hopefully we have a little more of the youth league started at that point to get him moving up and follow in your footsteps.
Oh, maybe that's something Kyle wants to get into. Any interest in coaching?
I think there's definitely interest in it. I don't know about coaching right now, but there's definitely interest. And just correct you there. A little daughter, 2.5. But
I'm sorry, I made the assumption. I apologize. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. She was actually at the game that we played with the Texas, so against Chicago, and she absolutely loved it. So it was the first game for her in 2 years, which was really cool to see her out there.
That's excellent. So let me ask you. So you mentioned briefly that you do have a full-time job now that you're up here in between playing and training. And that, what do you do? What have you gotten into?
So one of our big sponsors in Austin was Safeguard Global. And when off season came around in 2022, I reached out to a now good friend of mine, Bjorn Reynolds. I reached out to him to ask him for a off season job, and it's kind of working in the office and helping out with a bit of project management and stuff like that. Then, when Austin collapsed, I then decided to do that full time, like pursue it through the season. Been with them, so this end of this year or end of this month will actually be 2 years that I've been working for them, and working as a treasury analyst, so in the finance department. And
oh my gosh,
yeah.
And to top that off, I caught on here that you have a degree in electrical engineering.
Yeah, so I studied electrical engineering in South Africa.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's crazy to like I said, and a huge part of this is the fans getting a chance to know who you are. And it's crazy to get a chance to talk to the players and really get a feel of just the minds that you guys have. I mean, it was like last week we talked with Jarek, who has a degree in physics. It just kind of this stuff of in the States, when I was going to universities, it was like the guys that were big into football, they all just went to get a business degree because it was the quickest and easiest thing so that they could keep playing their sport. It's crazy to meet professional sports athletes who also have these the degrees that take the 10-pound brain. So that's very cool that you have that to fall back on, and that you've getting into the finance and the treasury side of it. That's really cool to hear. I really hope the best for you in that.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I feel like if you think of football in America, if you play in a D1 college or something like that, like it's almost set out to you're gonna do something afterwards with it. So getting that degree kind of just pushing you through college and to get to the big leagues, even if just like the UFL or something like that.
Yeah.
As where rugby, it's on the way there definitely. I mean, I've been in the MLR for a while now, so just seeing from the first year of MLR to now, it's grown dramatically, which is awesome to see. So, not that I would say that like kids in college now just need to study to get through it and get to the MLR, but it does help that the league is growing so much.
Absolutely.
Well, now that you've seen all three of the major cities, well, cutting out San Antonio, I'm sure you've seen San Antonio a bit, at least while you've been living in Austin. But what are your thoughts on the three different cities, and maybe even the three different programs, and how they're going about, developing rugby in those cities?
So I'll start off with Austin just because that's where I started. I feel like Austin's a cool city. It's a really young city, like in terms of people and stuff. So I really enjoyed that when I was younger, and the rugby there, with having the two biggest clubs in Texas, like the rugby is just big there. Fans come out. It's a really cool city. I really enjoyed my time in Austin. Houston, I was only in Houston for 5 months due to COVID. That was that COVID year that kind of cut it short.
Right.
All I can remember about Houston, it is super humid. So going there,
giant mosquitoes. That's keeps my wife away.
Yeah, going there in 2 weeks is going to be really fun. But it's also a cool city. What I think that I liked more about Houston as Austin was kind of just the big sports outside of college. So like going to an NFL game or going to an NBA game, like that kind of, I enjoyed that about Houston. And then the food is also unreal.
Yeah.
And Dallas it just feels like home to me now. I am on the west side northeast, sorry, of Dallas.
Yep.
Kind of close to family and stuff. But yeah, it kind of just feels like home. We're in a suburb here that everyone's kids kind of play out in the street, and that's where we are right now, in terms of our life with a 2.5-year-old. So I really enjoy this part of it. And then the team too. The team, it seems it's a young team, so there's a lot to build on. And just being in the playoffs, like you said earlier, qualifying for the playoffs for the first time in the history of the club, with a young team, we can only go up from here. So I'm excited to see what this turns out, even this year, but even going forward too.
Yeah, I forgot to mention not only in the clubhouse with that group of locks, but having a head coach that was a lock, picking up some extra stuff from him. But I think, he's fairly young for a head coach. He may be one of the younger head coaches in the league. And it is a young group of guys. So you kind of have some elderly leadership there. Do the younger guys look up to the older guys, or is there more of a well, we know this guy's an Eagle or a former Eagle, or this guy's an international, and so they're going to get kind of more of the hold on the locker room?
Yeah, I think you always look up to someone that has more experience, and you can feel that, but you also kind of gravitate to people with really good leadership skills. So it's a guy like Sam Gola, and then also Hero, like they're extremely good leaders, and they lead by example, which a young person, always going to look up to that. But then, yeah, I feel like having that, like you say, experience and other cultures, you can always just learn from them, which is good.
Yeah, and we've heard a lot from the Canadians about kind of their experience of coming down, especially, trying to get something out of them about language barrier, and they refuse to say that there's language barrier anymore, which is phenomenal because I think last year was fairly well understood that there was a language barrier on the team. It seems like Nate has had a big influence over that. How has your experience been with the team on any kind of communication barrier?
So obviously I wasn't in the team last year, but I did hear that there was a kind of that language barrier, which is understandable. I mean, coming from South America and then speaking Spanish your whole life and trying to get into English. English is also not the easiest language in the world.
No.
But I must say that there isn't a language barrier now. The people that are in there now, you can see their thought process on how they're trying to explain stuff, but they get their point across, and they have done really good work in trying to explain and trying to prepare for what they want to say.
That's phenomenal. Yeah, I mean, just having quick conversations with Kuka, his English is 1,000 times better this year than it was last year. I'm sure that's a huge difference maker. So you've kind of experienced mostly, I guess, the Dallas side. Have you gone out with the boys on the Fort Worth side? And is there anything interesting or fun you can tell us about some of your experiences over there?
So like you said earlier, I've only been with the team about 4 weeks now. I've not made it out to Fort Worth, but I'm planning on getting a night out with the boys. When we were up in Boston, we had a night out. It was a Sunday, so it was just a couple of beers at the what do you call it, Boston Harbor. But
okay,
really good group of guys. Always enjoy talking to them and having a beer afterwards.
Yeah, we're only losing one player during the international period, so you'll all get to kind of hang out.
Yeah, for sure.
Y'all gonna probably plan and go out a couple of times during that time period. But I know they're all kind of living on that Fort Worth side, and they asked us to go out with them after a match one night, and it was fairly late already, and I looked at it, and it was another 30 minutes west. And as you know, Kyle and James, I live kind of northeast Dallas. I was like, I don't know if I want to go another 20 minutes out on the way at 11 o'clock at night.
They invited us out. But like at 42, I don't know if I could make the drive home at 2 a.m.
Yeah, it sounds like they're having a lot of fun over there. So hopefully you'll get to go do that with them soon.
Yeah. Playing a late game at 7:30, or start at 7:30, and then afterwards, only getting home at 12. And then, as you know, with a 2.5-year-old, they don't sleep late. So
sleep is kind of elusive to you right now, anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been there, done that with two, three, almost 3 girls. So I hear it.
So let me ask you, with juggling, playing with the Jackals, a full-time job, raising the toddler there, who was probably running around the house at lightning speed at this point. Do you have a chance for hobbies? Are you able to get out and mountain biking or running or get out on the lakes or do any of that kind of stuff in your off time?
So yeah, right now, no. Right now I kind of just feel
that's very fair.
Running around and trying to keep my head above water. Yeah. But before I started out with the Jackals, I actually, beginning of the year, I set out that I wanted to run the Dallas Marathon at the end of the year. So been training for that. Obviously, that's been put on hold a little now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so as soon as the season ends, I will probably get back to a bit of long distance running and see if I can pick that back up.
Are you in any of the like running clubs? Or I know like almost all the breweries around here have running clubs. Is there anything like that you've gotten yourself involved in to train, or you just train on your own?
I was just kind of running on my own. Just I hate long distance running, so I had to start really, really small, or really short distances. But kind of built myself up and got to about a 10 miler.
Good.
That's
On
fantastic.
the weekend. But yeah, just running by myself, kind of put the headphones in and listen to some music, and yeah.
I did the half marathon in Dallas back in 13 or 14, and I haven't run on purpose since. That was pretty much the end of my running career. But yeah, the 3 months up to that of started slow. I found a program that was like a couch to half marathon thing of like on Monday 1 mile, and then Tuesday take a break, and Wednesday was, some days were speed, some days were longer distance, and by the end of it was doing 3 or 4 laps around White Rock Lake to get in 10 or 12 miles, and it was a lot of work.
With my knees, I like doing the brewery runs. They do the 5Ks, and they give you 3 free beers and some tamales or something like that afterwards. That's my kind of running. I gotta have a goal in sight at the end of it. Better have food and beer involved.
The great one I saw, everyone got the stickers on the back of their SUVs that have the 26.2 or the 13.1, and I saw one day that was 0.1, and it underneath of it had the picture of the 2 beer mugs clinking. And I saw it in a parking lot, and I asked the owner about it, just thinking it was funny, and he said no, it was actually wherever he was from. This was a couple of years ago, but that their local pub or brewery had set up their own tradition of one side of the parking lot to the other. And that was, they just did that. And then the other end of the parking lot was a stack of kegs. So you just lined up and you ran, and then you drank beer, but you still got a t-shirt and a medal and a sticker. Man, that's a $1 million idea right there.
This participation society we're in. So Kyle, is there anything that you're really excited to do in Dallas that you haven't done? Have you gone to a Mavericks game? Have you gone to a Cowboys game? Is there something like that, or even just going out to a restaurant that you haven't been to, something like that in Dallas?
Yeah, so I've been to a Mavericks game with my wife being from here, her family's here, so we came and visited quite a bit. Been to a Mavericks game, and then this past season I was at a Cowboys game, but just a preseason one. So love to get to a regular season Cowboys game. I was forced into being a Cowboy fan, and I don't know how I feel about it, but we love the Cowboys. It's America's team, right?
I feel you, born into it, and I can't escape it. I've tried hard to not be a Cowboys fan, but it's just not possible, unfortunately.
Don't say it too loud if you change teams around Dallas.
I think something that really seems really cool is going to a Texas OU game.
Yeah.
So being in Austin, obviously been to Texas games quite a bit, but that kind of seems like a pinnacle game to go to.
Have you taken the little one to the fair yet, or is she a little bit too young for fair?
So we were going this past season, but we felt like she was still a little young. So maybe next year we'll definitely.
Yeah, but hey, hit up the fair and the game.
Yeah,
there you go. That's a fun weekend right there.
Absolutely.
Kyle, so last question from me. How do we see this season finishing, and are any shot you're going to come back and take up a few matches if Gola's out next season?
Season ending this year, I think we have 2 tough games. Going up to Utah is never easy. It's a great place to play. They're a great team, but going up there and then kind of working our way through them would be fun, just to kind of bounce back from that tough loss last week. And going down to Houston, trying to just put our stamp on that, and just fixing the small things that we've notified and saw that we've done incorrectly or wrong. And then kind of just going straight into playoffs, and probably be Houston in the playoffs. So wouldn't want to show them too much.
Right. Yeah. I was wondering what kind of team we're going to put out there on that last week. I won't say anything now, but I have a feeling it's probably going to look a little different than what we're going to see in Utah, for example.
Yeah, I mean, that goes from week to week, but you also don't want we want to put our best players out there, like race. We have those 2 weeks off before the season or before playoffs start. So having a 3 or 4 week rest is a long time.
Okay.
I wouldn't expect the team to be too much different. Still getting that contact and that game match fitness. But I think like we're in a good spot. I think going into the playoffs, we've shown that we aren't just like pretenders, but we kind of want to contend and be in the game. We want to play a good brand of rugby, and yeah, just kind of hopefully go through all the way. This will actually been in the league for a long time now, and this will actually be my first playoffs ever. So that's pretty fun for me too.
Yeah, it's pretty
we were
crazy
waiting for you.
because we were talking about this the other day after the game. I was thinking, oh man, like you've already been in the playoffs with the Gilgronis, but the Gilgronis were folded basically the week that the playoffs started. So he didn't actually get to be in the playoffs because both the Giltinis and Gilgronis were removed from that playoffs literally like days before the playoffs started. So, and the Gilgronis, y'all were in first place at the time, I believe.
Yeah, we were. So that was obviously a tough pill to swallow. But yeah, like you said, a week before playoffs, they announced that we are disqualified.
So that's exciting. And next season, I know you didn't answer that part of the question. So
that might have been strategic. I don't know. I'm enjoying rugby right now. Like we said earlier, kind of trying to balance everything. We'll just take it 1 week at a time and see where we go.
Yeah, I think getting the go ahead from the wife, if your body's in good shape, is probably a big part of it. So, well,
that's
for
the body.
Yeah. We'll wait and see on all that. James, anything from you?
No, I think covered everything I wanted to say, Kyle. It's phenomenal having you on the podcast. I appreciate you taking the time out and jumping on this. Thank you so much. I'm excited to see you up in Dallas. I'm excited to see you back on the pitch with us playing again. It was excellent seeing you out there the other day. Tons of love and support for you and all the rest of the team, from the Jakl Den, from the fans. Keep doing the good work.
Thank you very much for having me. This has been great.
Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, Jakl Den, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Rick, your inside man, for all your questions and your time. Thank you again, Kyle, for all your input. Guys, gals, have a great rest of your week. We will see you Saturday night at the Londoner in Addison at 9 p.m. when the Jackals take on the Utah Warriors up in Harriman, I believe.
Harriman is
Utah?
correct.
Okay, yes. And have a great rest of your week, and we will talk to you guys next week. Thank you very much.